Welcome to Biblical Theology. Today I wanted to make a quick video on the question of the sons of God and daughters of men in Genesis 6:2. This is a very debated passage, and we come to the text and we get this phrase, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, the sons of Elohim, saw the B'nai Ha-Adam, the daughters of Adam, that they were to vote, that they were good. And if we're doing a whole biblical theology, to see that something's good, if we're reading through the Hebrew text, this mimics what Eve did when she saw the forbidden fruit. She saw that it was tov, and she took. So she was doing a godlike thing. She was appropriating to herself the ability to decide good and evil. And of course, she talked her husband into sinning against God. And this passage in Genesis 6:2 is a debated passage, and we see even all the way back in the Septuagint, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, you can see in the Septuagint that they're doing an interpretive translation and interpreting the sons of Elohim as angels. And there's a way to do that in the text. Some people see in Job 2, the angels, Job 38, other see something else there. Perhaps in another video we'll look at that. But the question is, who are these sons of Elohim and who are these daughters of Adam? And the quick question that I wanted to ask here, just switch over, is this idea, take for themselves wives from. So this is a phrase that appears many times in the Hebrew Bible, to take for themselves wives from. And in an older computer program, BibleWorks, I did a search where everywhere the word lakak, the word take, and for blank, and then the word wife or wives, and then the word from, where are all the places that occurs? And so you can see here, they took for themselves wives from. Sorry about the English order there, but I didn't quite know how to do it to make it look right. But you can see that phrase, to take for him a wife from, that often in the Hebrew Bible, this is in the context of intermarrying. You better not take for my son a wife, or no, I think this is Hagar for Ishmael. She took for him a wife from. This is the one, you better not take for my son a wife from the daughters of the Canaanites. You can see that this is all about intermarriage, and you can see how many times this phrase is used in many of these. This is a bad thing. This is argument against intermarriage. Well, the interesting thing about that is when we look at the previous two chapters, we do have this idea of two genealogies. And the first genealogy ends with a woman, and her name is Naamah, and her name means something like the lovely one. And when you list out those genealogies, her father is the seventh one from Adam, and her name is the last one in the list. Her three brothers are gifted, prominent people, and then we have this one woman listed, the lovely one. And when we compare that with the next genealogy, we see that it ends in, I think it's Methuselah is the seventh one, and then his son is Lamech, and you're kind of confused why are these people who are calling on the name of the Lord naming their kid after a multi-murdering, wife-abusing polygamist? And the answer may be that an intermarriage has occurred. In fact, a good number of Jewish interpreters take that. And so could it be that this passage is not about the see, my dog is here. She likes to come down. Might this passage not be about angels and women intermarrying, but rather the older view goes back to Augustine and Julius Africanus of those who are calling on the name of the Lord and yet choosing to intermarry with pagan women. If you look at the meta-narrative, who does that get in the story? Who faces that temptation? Well, the very first audience that Moses addressed, they were being tempted there in the plains of Moab because of Balaam saying, find the most beautiful pagan women they'll intermarry, they'll take for themselves wives from, and then those beautiful wives will turn their hearts away from God. You can see that perhaps even the Adam story is that his beautiful wife talked him into rebelling against God. The strongest man who ever lived in the text, a beautiful woman turned his heart away. The wisest man in the text, the foreign wives turned Solomon's heart away. We see David as a worshiper. The thing that tripped him up was a beautiful woman. And even when Ezra comes back, the priests are intermarrying, and he pulls his hair out because he's saying, haven't you learned anything? This is where this will go. If you take for yourselves a wife from and intermarry, this will result in idolatry. I think the beauty of the meta-narrative is this, is there's only one Son of God who ever took for himself a wife from the daughters of Adam, and it was Christ. Christ took for himself a new Eve, but the difference is he gave her a new heart. He won her heart and caused her to walk in the ways of God. The story of Genesis 6, if you're reading it as intermarriage, those beautiful pagan women, and if we're looking particularly at Naamah marrying Methuselah, God said, that's it. I'm going to judge the world. So this is not about angels intermarrying with women, but rather those who are calling on the name of the Lord And God was willing to interact, but God is saying, look, I know how this will turn out. You choose a pagan woman over God. Eventually, she's going to turn your heart away. And the beauty of the meta-narrative is that that's a picture of all humanity. And so what the God-man, Christ, did is he took for himself a wife but he made her new. And he gave her a new heart, Ezekiel 36. And the first Eve talked Adam into sinning. Now, the last Adam is persuading and enabling his bride to walk in the ways of God. So that's what I have for you today. Love to hear what you think. I think I will link this document in the description, and I look to talking to you next time.